What's up guys, Michael Gilbert here, and in front of me is the 2020 KTM 890 Duke R. KTM is dubbing this the Super Scalpel. About a year and a half ago, they introduced the 790, which they called the Scalpel, but this comes with more power, more braking power, and more adjustability. Starting with the engine, obviously the 890 is bigger than the 790. KTM used that same parallel twin concept, but bore and stroke have been increased, bringing the displacement up to 890 cc's. On the Cycle World dyno, we saw that as well. It actually gets 11 more horsepower than the 790, bringing peak output to 106 horsepower. It actually gets 2 foot-pounds more of torque as well. Out on the road, it is very entertaining. It still remains the tractable, user-friendly power plant that we came to love on the 790. Beginning low in the RPMs, throttle response is very smooth, very user-friendly, and really gets off the corner in a tractable way. You feel the power being put to the ground, and then as it hits the mid-range, this is where this motorcycle gets so much more fun than the 790. It has that added mid-range and the added top end as well that the 790, I just wish it had from the get-go. Off the showroom floor, this motorcycle comes with 3 riding modes: rain, street, and sport. You can also upgrade with KTM's track package, which unlocks another track setting. Those 3 ride modes, they each have individual throttle response settings. I actually found that even in track mode, the most aggressive setting, I found that it was a little bit smoother than I remember on the 790. I remember it being over abrupt, over sensitive, and kind of yanking out from underneath you at slow speeds. I think KTM did a good job at just mellowing out that initial throttle response. Typically, riding out here on the open roads, I found myself riding in sport mode. It was, the most aggressive of the street settings, but not so aggressive as the track settings. It offered a good balance of laying the power down, but also remaining that tractable, user-friendly feel I was looking for. KTM carried over the same basic chassis platform from the 790, but one of the biggest improvements that you see with the 890 Duke R is that it gets the WP Apex front fork, which is fully adjustable. On the 790, it lacked any sort of adjustment, and to be honest with you, I thought that the baseline settings were a little bit off. That motorcycle had a very harsh feeling in the top of the stroke that never quite felt settled over small bumps. And with the 890, with the Apex forks, you get the full adjustability, but at the same time, I think that the baseline settings are very compliant, but also offer that support that you want out when you're ripping the back roads or even when you go to the track. That said, having that adjustability, even though we really haven't touched it today, if we went to the racetrack, that's something I would definitely look at stiffening up this motorcycle just because of the increased loads that we're gonna see at the racetrack. It's also quite impressive. KTM shaved off 8 pounds on this 890 Duke R versus the 790. This motorcycle weighed 408 pounds, fully fueled on the Cycle World scales. And out on the road, this thing carves the corners from side to side. In the middle of the corner, it's very confidence inspiring. This motorcycle, you feel like you're in control of it. It's not in control of you. It's very neutrally balanced, and it just makes for a very entertaining yet confidence-inspiring ride. Along with that, KTM actually outfitted this motorcycle with Brembo Stylema calipers up front. These are top-notch calipers that you'd find on any of the open class superbikes, Ducati Panigale, Aprilia RSV4. These are the best of the best. And they also fitted it with a Brembo master cylinder. And what that does is maybe not increase the power so much, but to me, it really increased the feel at the brake lever. I could understand how much brake pressure was being applied at the disc as I was trying to run it off into corners or go that little bit faster. Also something I think that you're gonna see significant improvement at the racetrack. Ergonomically, this motorcycle is very similar to the 790 Duke. That one-piece motocross style handlebar just gets rolled forward just slightly to give it a little bit more aggressive stance. Likewise, the foot pegs grow just a little bit wider to give you a little bit more surface area and in turn a little bit more grip for your feet. Overall, I'm very content with this Ergonomics package. It gives you that aggressive feeling that you want when you're ripping the back roads or even if we were to take it to the racetrack. But it's also comfortable for the long haul. We've done a couple longer days on this motorcycle, 200, 250 miles plus, and there is nothing really to gripe about with it. The 33.3-inch seat height is just a little bit tall, I think, for my 5'7" stature. I find myself kind of on my tippy toes navigating my way through traffic. Riders with a taller stature, you're probably not gonna have that issue. 5'7", I'm racer size, I know, you can call me short, but it was a little bit of an issue for me. Overall fit and finish and quality of this motorcycle is what you'd expect of a premium KTM model, from the TFT dash down to the top shelf components like the WP Apex suspension, Brembo stylema calipers. Even the looks of it, I think KTM did a really good job with the styling and colorway of this motorcycle. It's hard to find fault in this motorcycle. The only very small gripe I have comes with KTM's choice of the Michelin Power Cup 2 tires. And it's not that they don't have grip, they do. I've actually been very impressed with how much you can get on the throttle and how late you can trail brake into the corners. But especially from the front tire, I felt like it just lacked a little bit of feel of what's actually happening at the contact patch. I more so had to rely on my experience and my feel at the brake lever of how much pressure was being applied, just so I wouldn't overdo it at the front tire. But that's a very personal preference. In a few thousand miles, you could throw whatever set of tires you want at this just to get it more to your personal liking and your feel. I have to say I'm very impressed with the 890 Duke R. This was a step above the 790, and it really kind of filled all those gaps that I wanted the 790 to fill. It's got a little bit more power, more adjustability in the fork, especially where it was just lacking. You get more braking power. This feels like a more premium motorcycle, but it comes at an additional cost. This motorcycle is $11,699. That's $1,000 more than the 790. That extra $1,000 seems so justifiable considering the added performance and the top shelf components that you get with the 890 Duke R. All right guys, there you have it. First ride on the 2020 KTM 890 Duke R. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, read the full story on cycleworld.com, and we'll see you next time.